one of the things that we've talked about is one definition of perfectionism is putting more time into something than it deserves. And if you are spending a lot of time trying to craft a very simple, straightforward email, that could be defined as perfectionism.
Right. And knowing what's enough really does help us not waste time and also just adds ease.
Hey there, welcome to Getting to Good Enough. I'm Shannon Wilkinson.
And I'm Janine Adams. We're here for practical and fun conversations about living with more ease and way less stress.
Yep. We're all about embracing progress over perfection. So grab a tasty beverage and let's get started. Hey, Janine.
Hey, Shannon, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a momentary little feeling of panic when you pressed record because I can't remember what we're talking about.
Same.
We'll figure it out.
Well, luckily, I do have it written down in front of me, so I have a cheat sheet. What we plan to talk about is what counts as enough. You know, this is about getting to good enough and what is enough, what counts as enough.
That's right. Now I remember.
Yeah. And I think, you know, a lot of the way we've talked about it in past episodes is having a goal or knowing the least amount that still counts, that sort of thing. But you were talking about sort of a different way to approach it.
Right. I was talking about a recurring theme of getting in touch with what's important to you or to me, and then letting that be the condition to help you know when enough is enough, so to speak. So, an example that pops to mind is like if I am writing an email and it's to a client, for example, that I really want to make sure it's well crafted and well thought out. I might put more time into it and polish it a little more. But if it's to my husband and I just need to like ask him what's for dinner, I can just say what's for dinner. I don't have to put in a nice greeting and all the things and the appreciation for the fact he's willing to consider thinking about what's for dinner. It's just, that's enough to just, whip it off.
Yeah. Although sometimes my husband will send me messages like that. He'll say, "Dear Shannon, I hope this note finds you well."
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And then he'll sign off with something like, "With kindest personal regards, Mike."
That's good. He doesn't use his last name, though, when he does that in his sign-off?
It seems like he should.
It does, doesn't it?
I know more than one Mike.
Perhaps first, last name, and MD would be appropriate.
Yeah, it makes sense because one of the things that we've talked about is one definition of perfectionism is putting more time into something than it deserves, spending more time on something than it really deserves. And if you are spending a lot of time trying to craft a very simple, straightforward email, that could be defined as perfectionism.
Right. And knowing what's enough really does help us not waste time and also just adds ease. It's funny, my husband is a perfectionist. He's a proud perfectionist. I can talk about him all I want because he doesn't listen to the podcast because he doesn't need the podcast. And
well, I should say he doesn't want the podcast.
Yeah, right. He doesn't think he needs a podcast. Yeah. But, in recent months, I've been hearing him say, "Good enough." And I refrain from commenting because if I were to comment and point it out, that would make him not do it probably. But it makes my heart sing whenever he says that, right? Because I know that now he's moving on to the next thing rather than spending all the time trying to get to perfect.
Right. And I noticed that I can bump up against that when I'm doing the show notes for our episodes. I may spend more time than it merits trying to get them just right, good enough is probably below the amount of time I'm spending on them.
Right. Yeah. Well, we've always said that there's nothing like doing a podcast on letting go of perfectionism to make things like show notes and everything we do
Yeah.
good enough, stopping at good enough, right? Because
Right.
we try to walk the walk. Is that the expression?
Walk the
Right.
talk.
Walk the talk. So that's good. I think the show notes are great, maybe because you are spending more time than you need to on them, but I think you do a great job with them.
Well, thank you. But I do
Mhm.
catch myself like sort of wanting or thinking I should spend more time trying to get things right when it's just like, no, this is fine. Because the thing that's important is that they are accurate and I want them to add something to the podcast. So if a listener goes and reads the show notes, it's useful to them.
Right. The idea of knowing what's important to you, which I feel like we actually haven't talked about as much in the reboot, in the 2.0 than we used to in the 1.0,
Hmm.
but it really is the basis for everything, isn't it? I mean, not
Yeah.
just letting go of perfectionism, but just being in touch with what's important to you. It's something I think that's easier to get in touch with for me anyway as have gotten older. Like it's
Hmm.
really accessible now, whereas when I was younger, I think it wasn't so much. But knowing what's important is, and sometimes I have to remind myself to think about it, but it
Hmm.
can really give you the guidance on so many decisions.
Right.
Uh, yeah, especially when it comes to like prioritizing your time or
Hmm.
knowing what's good enough. Like the thing that just popped into my head just now is tomorrow is election day here in St. Louis, and there's just one thing on the ballot, but it's important. It has to do with taxes. And I've been meaning to vote all week, and I literally voted at the library across the street. I mean, it couldn't
Uh-huh.
be easier. And did I make it there? No. So tomorrow, I have to do it. Like it's going to be the top priority
Right.
because today I have a series of appointments, so I'm not going to be able to do it. Voting is one of the most important things to me, and
Hmm.
so that will be my top priority. And in that case, enough is just doing it.
Right.
But I mean, and there's only one ballot measure, and I know what I want to vote on, so I don't even have to do any research. I just have to make
Hmm.
sure that I cross the street
Right.
when the polls are
Right.
open. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's sort of an interesting point is that what matters to you could be as simple as completing something, it being done, and the idea of done is better than perfect.
Mhm.
Or it could be how does it relate to your word of the year or your personal values or your goals, priorities, like you just said.
Mhm.
So I think it can run the gamut from a very simple done is what's enough. Like
Mhm.
needs to be done
Check
so I can
mark.
move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Or like I need to decide something based on, my values of wanting a challenge or my values of kindness or creativity or whatever. And let those guide when enough is enough.
Yeah, and sometimes that involves like letting go of control,
Hmm.
and which can be challenging sometimes, and also
Right.
very liberating, especially when you
Hmm.
take a leap and let go of control and everything works out, and learn that lesson that it's okay not to control every aspect of everything.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big lesson.
Well, and this is making me think about a few episodes ago, you were talking about how you like being new at things.
Mhm.
And if that's what's important to you, then you have to let go of, like you said, control, or you have to let go of wanting to know how to do something before you do it, so
Mhm.
that you feel like you're right because it being new and the challenge or enjoyment or whatever that brings to you is more important than any fears you might have about not knowing how to do something when you go into it.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. There's so many layers to that because when I'm not new, when I'm an expert,
Mhm.
there's so much more pressure, uh, and it's weird how being new introduces enjoyment because that pressure is relieved, I think.
Right.
Um, I like that reminder because one of my challenges these days is I love staying home. Like, I love my apartment. I love my view. Have to go outside sometimes, but I really don't want to get in the car. And reminding myself that probably if I'm going to be new at something, well, not necessarily, I have to leave the apartment. And so it's probably good for me to leave it more than I am. I'm not agoraphobic, I don't think, but I like that reminder that doing new things is important to me and it might outweigh my comfort of staying inside. Does that make
Right. Like,
sense?
so,
Yeah.
yeah, it does make sense because to have the enjoyment of being new at something, you have to leave the sameness of your apartment.
Right. Although new crafts can happen inside my apartment
They can,
and
they
do.
definitely can. Right.
Yeah.
But maybe then it becomes about going outside to purchase the things for your crafts as opposed to ordering them all online.
There you go. Yes. Yes. Or, maybe
You're
it's
like,
me. No, I do. I'm doing this fabric painting and I do go outside to buy it because I can get it super cheap at the city sewing room where they sell craft supplies by the pound at a
oh,
dollar a pound.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. So I can get fabric. I spent a dollar on
Uh,
fabric and a knitting needle, a circular knitting needle the other day.
oh, wow.
I know. Yeah. But yes, that's good. Also, I could get together with my crafty friends,
Hmm.
and I haven't done that in a while. And of course, I could have them come here, but I could also go to them.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, didn't you used to have a regular craft night out somewhere?
it was during the day. Oh, night. Yeah, knitting 20 years ago. Yeah, we had a knitting group at the bar at the Westin Hotel
Yeah,
downtown.
that's what I
Yeah,
was
yeah. Then
remembering.
that evolved into various crafts being performed in someone's home, and usually during
Oh,
the day. And
hmm.
we were going to do it here a few weeks ago, but then there was like a family illness that prevented one person from going, and it fell apart. But
Yeah.
I need to resurrect it.
Right. Well, it would be interesting for this particular thing. Like, you seem to want to go out of your apartment more, but generally don't. But if you
Uh,
don't want to,
yeah. Right. I think I feel bad for not doing it more. It's not that I don't want to. But for example, I went out yesterday. Barry and I went to this great show yesterday
uh-huh.
that I'm so glad that we left the apartment and went to it. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I know that I get enriched when I leave.
Right. Well, and so that's what I was trying to get at
Yeah.
is
Right.
like what happens outside of the apartment that you value that's important to you. So that can kind of come more to the surface than the comfort of staying in.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
And it's easy to, in this case, think about the discomfort of leaving your apartment as opposed to the enrichment of leaving the apartment, like the value of it.
Right. Right. I fear I'm coming across as a hermit. But so be it.
You've always been an indoor cat. We all know
It's
that.
true. Yes. I just told somebody that in the elevator this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really valuable. And we touched on this in a recent episode that really thinking about is there something that you want to be doing and you're not doing it? And what can inspire you to do more of it? So if you really don't want to leave your apartment and that's not a problem for you, and I mean, we know that you do actually leave your apartment. You walk
Right.
Bix, you have to run errands. It's not
Right.
like you literally don't leave your apartment. But if that's not a problem for you, it's not a problem for you.
Right. That's true.
But if you feel that you're missing out on things or you're not
Yeah.
having the experiences you want to have because of that, then that's a different thing.
Right. And then knowing what's important to me helps me do the thing, like to get out. Like oftentimes I just assume stay in when I have an invitation, but then I can get
Mhm.
in touch with what's important. And maybe that's being a good friend.
Right.
And that will get me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one for me to remember too, because I want more connection,
Hmm.
which means I too have to leave my home. Go
Right,
out there.
right. And you've identified that you want more connection.
Yes.
Yes. What, remind me, what's your word of the year? Or do you have one
Choose.
this year? Oh, that's right.
Choose.
Choose. Right. That's good.
Yeah. An episode got named after it.
Wow. Which episode was that?
Choose.
We have an episode called Choose.
Well, I mean, it's choose, and then there's some
Some other words.
subtitle-ish for it.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember
Yeah.
last week's episode, let alone anything before that.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember, when we've talked about this in the past, like when we first started the podcast, a lot of what my understanding good enough was about was the kids and cleaning and the kitchen and like
Mhm.
sort of managing my expectations and the reality of what other people were capable slash willing to do and
I,
reconciling those things.
yeah, it's one of my favorite examples, actually, of letting go of perfectionism, where you got in touch with your relationship with your kids is more important than whether or not they clean that pan well,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. And that made a huge difference. And that has always been, to me, sort of one of the best examples of how I was able to let go of perfectionism and embrace good enough. And it's a good one. And even if it's not with someone else, like cleaning is a thing that if you have a tendency towards perfectionism, it's easy to get tangled up in. Like
Mhm.
you can spend way too much time cleaning one thing to the detriment of the rest of your space.
Mhm.
I've been known to do this. Like obsessively cleaning one pan as opposed to cleaning the whole kitchen. And,
Something that
spending the same amount of time on this
Mhm.
one perfectionistic task or a good enough clean of the whole space.
Right, going back to that definition of perfectionism, meaning taking more time to do something than it merits.
Right.
Right, yeah.
Right. And good enough being what I value is a space that I was just going to say a space that doesn't annoy me. So
So good enough to not annoy
yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, that's a pretty great, I mean, it's because we all have different, um, standards of what annoys us when it comes
Right.
to cleanliness or tidiness,
Mhm.
and it's personal, and get it to that point where it's not annoying. Yeah, I suspect my threshold is way higher than yours for annoying things in the
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it seems like a good thing to consider just in general. And then, with any specific thing you're doing, particularly if you find yourself a little stuck, I think.
Mhm.
Like,
Go back to what's important to you.
mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh,
Yes.
so true. I mean, that's whenever I remember to go back to that, it's always helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Makes such a huge difference. Well, we would love to hear from you, our listeners. Are you clear on what's important to you and how that relates to good enough? You can let us know on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Getting to Good Enough. You can email us at gettingtogoodenough@gmail.com. You can leave a message at 413-424-GTGE. That's 4843. Until next time, this is Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that good enough is getting easier for you. Thanks for joining us on Getting to Good Enough. We hope you heard something that makes your life just a little bit easier. If you did, leave us a review or share this with someone who's looking for their own version of good enough.
Thanks for listening. See you soon.
Now I feel like I need to go clean the kitchen because it's annoying me.
No, don't let it annoy you.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. Let it be easy.